We will be introducing the external project from TikTok that we are working on. The goal of this project is to implement an API gateway. The API gateway system is designed to act as an intermediary between clients and backend RPC servers, providing a unified entry point for client requests and managing the communication with the backend services. It serves as a central hub for request routing, protocol translation, load balancing, and service discovery.
The API gateway accepts HTTP requests encoded in JSON format and forwards it to the requested service. When the HTTP request is sent to the Hertz server listening, the API gateway validates the request and extracts the service name, method name, and JSON body. The information will be passed to a generic client, which translates the JSON body into Thrift. The service resolver then resolves instances running according to a specified service, where the load balancer will distribute the request and call one of the Kitex RPC server. The server then returns a Thrift response to the API gateway, which is then translated into JSON.
The main features of our API gateway include a load balancing mechanism over the servers through Kitex. It also integrates a service registry and discovery mechanism over the gateway and RPC servers through Kitex. The API gateway will be tested with backend RPC servers in Kitex.
Here is an overview of the tech stack. The API gateway will mainly be written in Golang. Frameworks involved are the CloudWiggle HTTP framework Hertz and RPC framework Kitex. Kitex and Hertz are Golang frameworks with high performance. Narcos server will be used for service discovery and registry, and Git as the version control system and platform.
Next is a demo on how to run the API gateway. The software requirements to run the project are Golang version 1.16 or later, Hertz Kitex version 0.5.2 or later, Narcos server, and Git bash. First, we start the Narcos server. The local web page should be available if the Narcos server is properly running. Now clone the repository from GitHub. On Git bash, navigate to the directory and run the command to start the RPC servers. The server should be listening on 6 different ports. On the Narcos page, we can now see 2 services registered, where each has 3 instances. Servers on port 8080 to 8082 are instances of service A, and servers on port 8085 to 8087 are instances of service B. Then, we navigate over to the API Gateway Server folder and run the main file. This begins the Hertz server listening on port 8888, where our HTTP request will be sent to. On another terminal, send a curl command to the address of the server. Specify the path as service A and method B. Request body is in JSON, with user ID 12312 and message hello world. We can see the response, indicating that the user is connected to service A. Then, if we navigate to the Narcos page and see the subscribers to service A, we notice the client is subscribed to the service. The API gateway will reject any request with missing data, incorrect format, or calling services that do not exist, and return the corresponding error message.
Another feature of the API gateway is to update service IDL. First, we start with the IDL where there is a field user ID under request drop. The expected response is received when the HTTP request is sent. Next, we modify the file by renaming the field to user. We can then send a request specifying the updated IDL file path to update the IDL of service A. When we try to send another request with user ID in the JSON body, it will result in error-making generic call. Now we try to send another request, but changing user ID to user in the JSON body. The expected response is returned. Note that since we only specify to change the IDL of service A, service B will not be affected. And sending user ID in the JSON body returns the response, while sending request with user does not. Now we try to update the IDL for service B. The same request with user ID will now result in error making generic call, and changing it to user to match the updated IDL will then return a response. Once again, we modify the IDL from user to user ID and update IDL for service A. The request with user ID should now work.
We used GitHub issues and projects to organize our features throughout development. We also implemented continuous integration to make sure merging code and adding features does not result in any issues.
This is the end of our video, and thank you for watching.